So I bought this. I know it's backwards. It's the Biden laptop by Marco Polo, the report. I told you Garrett Ziegler. He's somebody, when I was on Rumble, I used to follow. Well, not on Rumble. On Telegram. But I deleted my Telegram account because it's got too crazy there. Not because of him. I got annoyed and I'm like, screw this. So, but I used to follow his channel when he first came on. I think Lynn Wood had recommended him, and he was in Trump's administration. You can look into that, Garrett Ziegler. He's out of Illinois, actually, somewhere southern Illinois. So he had the laptop from the time he got onto Telegram, and he had a team of people that did this, okay? They went through the entire laptop, dug it up, okay? They put the pictures in here. They put everything that was on it, all of the crimes. So when the media says, no, we don't have anything, that's how much the media lies, okay? It's a lot. I think it had to have taken them over. He along the way, he would give like tidbits here and there, but he always had said, no, we're putting a report together of all of it. Well, this is the report. So you can look at it online for free. You can go to Marco Polo, Biden laptop, or laptop from hell. Or you can buy. I wanted to buy it because even though you can see everything, it's so explicit though. I mean, they kind of cover up the really graphic parts. I mean, because Hunter Biden was, but it's not just about Hunter Biden. So I thought this would be interesting, and I didn't read this whole, I don't want to say chapter, but area regarding human trafficking. This was just as I went to the section that had in regards to human trafficking. So sex-related crimes. People should be aware this is happening in our community, Phillips said. I'm not sure who Phillips is because I haven't read it all. That's not the point. So, in fact, 20 minutes into Phillips' first human trafficking training session, she realized she had served individuals who were victims of human trafficking. But since little was known about it at the time, their cases had been misidentified. Human trafficking is similar to domestic violence, and oftentimes victims can't or won't speak out. This is so true. I've tried to explain this to people. This is what's so sad about how badly the nursing profession for mental health has failed. I don't mean the people at the bedside, but like I have said that when I was at Northwestern, the reason I came across these women that were fresh out of trafficking was because of a home that was in my county that was helping them transition, because they can't just come out of that and then just go right back to, they need some transition. But many of them will become suicidal, they have flashbacks, all the stuff mental health nurses see. But it's on a much greater trauma. That's why this home that they're in is so ideal. It's a transition home, but it's all faith-based. And these women were so caring. But the president, or I don't even want to call her the president, she was just the lead person of this home. She was willing to come. She talked to me one day when I had time. I had all these questions about these girls, because it's not like look, the Diagnostic Manual of Mental Health Disorders loves to categorize people based on these. You can't do that with these women. I mean, you can put them all under trauma, PTSD, or really it's more complex PTSD because it's multiple traumas. But it's even beyond that, to where it's like it would have helped to have this woman come in and just talk to our area of the emergency room. We deal with psych. That's where I was working in. I was working in a mental health crisis emergency room was attached to a main emergency room. And it would have been free. This woman was more than happy to do it. And she was clearly very educated. She knew what she was talking about, obviously. And it would have been free. It wouldn't have cost Northwestern a dime. And they said no. And that was one of the warning. So there was several warning flags I had in 2020. One was the fact that we're not following science. Okay, we should not be taking quality of life away. Two was the fact that Northwestern put the cameras in. I'm not going to get into that. I've talked about it in plenty of videos. That I reported those cameras. They put them in the week of lockdowns. Three was the amount of hate that all the doctors down at Northwestern Hospital would write every single day. Like there was just a bombardment in their newsletters that would come to my work email about the hate at Trump. It was over the top. It was really over the top. Then during the peak of COVID, or the height of COVID, they were bragging about doing 2 double lung transplants. It was a worldwide lockdown. Even if it was right after Illinois stayed locked down longer, but this was during the middle of a world. Where did you get the organs? How did you get the consent? You opened somebody up that had COVID, and you took both lungs out and put 2 new lungs in. Where did the cadaver come? Where did you get that? People have to go on a list for that. How did you manage to do that? 2 of them on 2 different people. And I've said before, one of the girls, she ended up committing suicide like 4 or 5 months later. Because she had no quality of life. That's how important quality of life is. But you think they care? No, they just bragged about how they did these double lung transplants. It was tacky. It was so tacky. I mean, here, the people are still in the middle of doing all their fear mongering, okay? And they're making a killing off of the COVID money. And then, we did 2 double lung transplants on vent patients. And then they were on the news. And I thought, wait a minute, why isn't anybody, a transplant team, that's a major hospital. You have to have so many people. And yet we were supposed to be standing 6 feet apart, right? All surgeries were pretty much shut down. So why was that allowed? And how did they get the organs? How did they get all of it? Like, why did they open somebody up? We heard on the news how nobody knew where this virus came from. We just don't know anything about it. That's why we can't do this. But they were able to do a double lung transplant and get the organs that quick. I know it was shady. So there were all these red flags for me in 2020, obvious ones that I don't know why didn't ring true for anybody else, but I think it did for some people. So one of the biggest things was that I took care of these women, and there's no training. I've yet to go anywhere where there's any training on this. Like this, everybody's making LGBTQ and people changing their genders, they're affirming things that are not biologically sound, but they don't do any training on this unless you want to go have it done. But this should be the number one thing, because that is what happens. You're not going to know a trafficking victim if you come across it, not unless you know the right questions to ask. So many times they won't speak out. There are signs to look for that could indicate an issue, such as a teen who is a repeat runaway or one who has multiple cell phones. They weren't physically imprisoned. They're psychologically imprisoned. So that's why it really upset me that any healthcare system would say no to education. So yet I've seen that's why I started looking into the nursing professional organizations, because I at first tried to go to them. I went to Magnet of Nursing. That's supposed to be the standard of care, or not that they're supposed to be the best. And yet they're just, it's our spreadsheets, and and it's like, no, you can't. You don't even know how to prioritize. You're prioritizing you go on their site, you can find stuff about trafficking, but that was always the pandemic. That was, and they made this crisis of COVID the number one thing. That's always what the media and these scumbags are doing. And they just happen, most of them, to be higher educated, trying to dictate and decide what you're going to focus on. But to be clear, there are still people in mental health that should be educated on this, about what to look for in the signs, and they don't have a clue. It wouldn't even cross their mind.